Right, so welcome everyone. I hope you're all able to hear me. And welcome and thank you for joining us this evening for the Red Wheelbarrow Poetry Collective. We've now we're in the process of settling on a name. But thank you for joining us and making time this evening to listen to this wonderful poetry reading by Gogo Vangile Gantsho. Thank you, Vangile, for joining us this evening. Uh, to begin, Vangile Gantsho is a healer and poet and the co-founder of Mbeko Press, a Pan-Africanist, intersectional feminist publishing house. She is the author of two poetry collections, Red Cotton from 2018 and Undressing in Front of the Window from 2015. She holds an MA with distinction from the university currently known at Rhodes and is a graduate of the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute Pioneer Class. There are many more accolades that we could mention, but you can read about them on our Facebook site. And I think that many people in the room are well aware of exactly how accomplished and excellent Vangile Gantsho is as a poet and as an editor and a publisher in many other fields. So I want to hand over to you, Vangile, and say thank you so much for making time to visit us at the Red Wheelbarrow. And we look forward to hearing your work. And I'll hand it over to you. It will begin with your reading that will go on for about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how you feel. There'll be a little bit of a question and answer session, and then we'll take a small break just to replenish ourselves, and we'll come back for the open mic. All right, I hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cindy. So before I begin, I was invited to dinner a few weeks ago by a friend who we happened to be in the same city, and we had met previously at a poetry festival. And as I was getting into her apartment building, I found this book sitting on the stairs. So I take the book and I ask her, Chomi, is this your book? She's like, no, that's not my book. And she's like, I think this book was put out for you, because apparently people in New York, they just leave things out anyway. So for people to just pick up. And the name of the book is How I Work as a Poet by Lou Welsh. So it's a collection of essays. And I just want to start by reading from the manifesto, Bread versus Mozart's Watch. I don't think there ever really was a war between the hip and the square. And if there is, I won't fight in it. I'm a poet. My job is writing poems, reading them out loud, getting them printed, studying, learning how to become the kind of man who has something of worth to say. It's a great job. Naturally, I'm starving to death. Naturally. No, man. It just does not make sense. Look, baby, you want to pay your bills? Go out and get a job. I've got a job. I'm a poet. Why should I do somebody else's job too? You want me to be a carpenter? I'm a lousy carpenter. Does anybody ask a carpenter to write any poems? But there I am, working 20 hours a day in a salmon and crab boat. A beautiful job in its own right, but another story. Just as why I don't make it in that any either way is another story. And suddenly I realize I haven't made a poem in 8 months. I'm too tired, and I still couldn't pay my bills. Anyway, I just thought for no reason whatsoever, except the fact that that book was sent to me and now I must share it. Molweni, igama lami nguVangile Gantsho, ngokuzalwa nguAvukile ngokugula. Ndaphinda ndabizwa, ndakhula, ndaba nguCinashe. Ndingumyirha, intombi kaMaxole, umzondi, uziya kusampo kaGibe ethamba lenyoka ehlabela imizondayo. uMaxole lowo ozalwa ngodlomo wakwaSangoni, uMthembu, uMadibe, uQampase, uYemyem, uSophichu, uNgqolomsila, uvele bempensela. Ndizalwa nguMamCirha, uKholeka wakwaMrhwada, uNcibane, uNojaholo, uQhankqolo, uNtswentswe, isihlobo sikaPhalo, uHlomla lidala linempondo, uMgcaleka. uCirha yena uzalwa kwisisu sentombi yakwaKulati, uNdungwane, uBhejula, uDiya, uGungu, uNdarhala, uQhwesha, uMageza, Maqatha alikhulu, uNgqolomsila, uSophichu, uYemyem, uvele bempensela. Ndingumngxongo, uMpila, uMvulane, uNgqosini. Ndiyacima kutsha. I'm going to read a series of poems. But I do believe that our clan names, the arrangement of our clan names and how we introduce ourselves as Black people is probably the first sight of poetry for me. And, you know, just how when Janet Fitch says, learn poetry by heart and let it become a part of your marrow. When you learn izithakazelo zakho, iziduko zakho by heart, and they become part of your marrow, and the way they sing and conjure up spells and create a force field around me. Anyway, we pass each other every day on the streets, carefully hidden behind sunglasses and tight smiles. We are intentional with each other, careful to cover the bumps and folds of measured bile, weighing each other up against the lumps in our throats. A laugh, a hug, apples in a vase on a white linen cloth. A heavy cigarette stub threatens 2 leaves, fractured limbs, empty bottles, once worn shoes. In a storm of secrets, in the middle of the night, a waltzing silence breaks free from a lonely string. Something frozen catches the wind, whispers maybe into the rain, chanting, humming far away, a brewing storm of small girls coming. The knot, the blindfold in the maze, a lonesome table with a plastered leg, the same beggar, 2 rand without a face. Small girl women playing hopscotch on the roof. There is a brown antique cupboard in my grandmother's house, once locked with blankets and secrets no one could steal. After she passed, only photographs remained, traces and gaps in the cupboard drawer that no longer locked. My aunt on her graduation day, my youngest uncle turning 5 or 6, Udata standing behind Umama in their early 20s. 2 days before Dada's funeral, looking for blankets, Umama found herself inside my grandmother's drawer, trying not to cry for a woman in a photo who didn't know then that the man behind her would leave long before he died. This is how the women gather, in quiet. They move steadily beneath the men before the sun awakes. They have clay on their faces and their voices do not whisper, they are not hiding. They carry money that is paper and some carry eggs. They carry rice and maize meal. They have come to pray over their children's lives. This is how the women move while the men are sleeping, while the men shout and give orders and the hem comes undone. These are the women who move without ever showing their legs. There is a lingering smell of fire and rain in the air, not smoke. The smell of burning to come, the smell of rain in the wings. This is a brewing storm of small girls arriving. So I have a series of Utywala poems. I don't know where they're going, but this reading is going to be interspersed with some of them. Utywala smells of blood. I have been bleeding for 3 weeks now. I've been drinking much longer. I'm still alive. They tell me to bleed onto a white cloth, to use a white towel when washing my body, to sleep on top of a white sheet. I'm still bleeding, next to 2 candles, white and navy blue, and a bowl of impepo. Umakhulu returns drunk from Izila. She says, inkomo iye yabaleka. Bengekayixheli. The boys chased it into the next village before it disappeared. She says, bebengasoze babuchithe utywala sebukhona. My eyes are teary, lids thick from the smoke and being tired. The first time I meet Umama Nomhla, I call her Makhulu. It isn't until 2 weeks later when we come back that I find out she isn't much older than Umam, contrary to her rattling around in the dirty hut. On our visit, she takes small hunched steps, lighting candles, burning impepo, picking out a rusty leopard print cloth to wrap around her waist from behind the mattress, leaning against the wall. She takes an equally dirty, once white towel from the floor to cover her shoulders and sits down on her cowhide drum with a thick white beaded necklace and snake. She says I have bad spirits, not evil, just bad. She says it's like walking in the veldt and having those thick, black, thorny plants catch to your pants or socks. I forget what they're called. The next time I see her, to remove the thorns, Umama forces me to carry my own blankets. In a plastic bag, I have candles, an unopened packet of razor blades, matches, and a bottle of vodka. We must use white spirits to combine our spirits. It does not occur to me that I do not know her ancestors. She is drunk when I arrive. She cannot walk. Umama makes me promise to pray. It takes 2.5 candles to pass a night without wind. Sunrise is further in August than during spring. It takes the shadow of 3 old women under a window to keep an old man from sneaking into their granddaughter's panties. The roosters do not sleep as long as the sun. My lover and I have not touched or shared a bed in 3 months. I have not kissed her with my mouth open in 3 weeks. When she touches me, I feel like someone has knocked the back of my knees out with a hammer. I am always too heavy for her to catch. Now we fight about everything. I left a red stain on the inside of the toilet seat. She left a note asking me to be more considerate when using shared spaces. She complains her clothes smell of impepo. Everything smells of impepo. She smells of blood. When she is drunk, she is chasing a cow. She is always chasing the same cow. When she is drunk, she tells me we cannot serve utywala to the rest of the family. We drink it all alone. Utywala smells of blood. Are we still together? It's so, I had forgotten like Zoom. I'm so glad to see your face, Cindy. Like, please stay. Ukuchuma. According to traditional African spirituality, you do not say thank you for that which gives you life, because life is not from people, it is from your creator. Also, according to traditional African spirituality, if you come to me seeking that which gives you life, and I am in a position to give it to you, I must do so, because life is not from people, it is from your creator. There is no one so poor that they do not deserve that which gives them life, because life is not from people, it is from your creator. And when we give an offering, we fill the bucket from which we drink so that those who follow may not die of thirst, because life is not from people, it is from your creator. What a gift it is to give and to receive, because life is not from people, it is from your creator. I am the bone of a snake, the snake who stabs only the one who angers him. I am a blue-blooded woman who ate istud from a bowl made of mud. Now Utata's people only climb the mountain to plant a flag or build a house. They do not listen to the wind or ask for direction from the soil. Utata was plowed by a tractor. This is how the land will take what is hers. I am the gap between the tusks of an elephant, the king and the philosopher. I am a mad woman. Open-legged and splintered shin, my grandmother swallowed her tongue. She was taken by the sickness in her head. Boys will be boys. Small boys is sharpened by the shoe of big boys, and small boys uses his shoe on all girls, and all girls must learn to cook and fetch water and make fire and carry babies. Otherwise, all girls will become bad mothers, and no one marries bad mothers. And when they drink, big boys pick smarties, and the smarties know that they must drink only enough to be friendly, but never enough to join in the dancing. All girls knows how to joke and fight and protect herself. All girls knows that midnight is the last bottle to fall, and there is no glass slipper, and the horseman will ride her if she does not leave. Sometimes, even if she does. Big boys is smallest boys in big pants, and big boys never learn to cook for himself. And all women is all girls at all times, and the rain makes everyone wet. Whew. When the root is deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. When the roots of the tree begin to decay, it spreads death to the branches. If you pick up one end of the stick, you also pick up another. No matter how beautiful and well-crafted a coffin might look, it will not make anyone wish for death. Umakulu cannot enter her house. All her children are returned to dust. Her house is not locked. Her house does not have a door. Missing. Umalume was alone when he passed, in a hospital less than 5 kilometers from our house. His wife didn't say he had been admitted. Umama found out through a dream. Umalumekazi hadn't spoken to us since the incident with the catering money and Omalume's funeral. She sent a message to my younger cousin to tell the family their oldest son had passed away. Umama called the hospital to confirm, followed him to the mortuary, hoped to see his face. According to COVID regulations, Umama is extended family. Only his wife and children may view the body. When he first disappeared, he was missing for over 2 decades, came back with half a leg and a new family. His wife and her 2 daughters kept him to themselves. He kept to his wife and new family. I met his daughter once, I think, when we were preparing for Malume's funeral. Umama was 15 when he went missing. The police raided their home and Utamkulu hid between the mattresses. Umakulu was sick. Umalume followed Utamkulu to the mines and ended up in Lusaka. Mama learned how to hold her breath and raise a family. She is 64 now. He is a year older. There are no police, no raids, nobody, no hope. He is gone, and there is no body. A cold message on an online address. A box without a white sheet, without a candle. Omakulu Ezlalini huddled in front of their granddaughter's phone, listening to people describe their oldest son in English. Small girl with moths in her mouth, speaks anger and glances, knows the dagger of words. Small girl, big voice, moves in silence, knows how earthquakes begin. In the rumbling of her stomach, entire families collapse. Small girl cares too much for such a small girl. Small girl with treacherous eyes carries too much feeling in her lungs, knows the sting of lonely. Small girl breathes too much, sees too much, takes up too much air. Small girl is too much mirror and expectation, too much wanting more. Small girl should know better than to try to fight the sun. Small girl with hands of spades. Small girl dreams too much, hopes too much, wants to plant and grow. Small girl thinks she is the ocean. Small girl is a stream. Small girl will break her heart with all this want. Small girl is not even the wind. Small girl must learn to swallow and be pretty. Okay, we're still together. Yes. Xa sisenza inguqulo, funeka silande abantu abadala. Engetheni, kukomkhulu, ngendawo ngendawo. Sicela abantu abadala basityhile amehlo, basigqogqe indlebe. Xa siwela kukomkhulu, sihamba nabantu abadala, sihamba nabantwana nabantu abadala. Kukho abakhwetha abafunwa emanzini, ootata abaphethe imiqombothi, oodadobawo abahlulwa ngamadolo. Yonke into, wonke umntu funeka ewelile. Usinowelile wathathwa ngamanzi ngalaa nyaka wemvula. Zange waphinda wafunyanwa. Ithi le nto xa abantu beza kwenza inguqulo bayazile, bacenga izihlwele, bacele abantu abadala badibane ngeentloko, bacenge abantu beziduko, bajike bajonge ngasendlini kuze izinto zekhaya zilunge, kuvuleke, abantu baphile. Inguqulo zange yenziwa ngumntu omnye. Clots of blood after Hirmo Ito's coyote. My grandmother was a teacher. My mother was a healer. My mother's younger sister was a Christian. My mother's other younger sister had a paralyzed daughter. All were wonderfully beautiful. When I was born, my grandmother sent a telegram with my name. She saw me in a dream. My grandmother saw herself reborn through my mother. When I left home after she died, she visited me in a dream, painted 3 dots from blood onto my forehead. My mother birthed 4 children. Her second son took too much of her blood into his heart. When my brother died in her arms, my mother could not heal him. When I was born 2 years after, my mother had stopped healing. All her faith clotted inside my lungs. I didn't cry when I was born. My mother held me silent for 30 minutes in her arms. When the nurse tried to pry me away from her, my grandmother's telegram arrived. My mother says I laughed when the nurse tried to take me from her. She birthed 2 children after failing to heal her second son. My mother was a believer. My grandmother was a healer. My mother's younger sister was a Christian. My mother's other younger sister had a paralyzed daughter. All were wonderfully beautiful. My mother's younger sister's paralyzed daughter died when she was 15. My mother's younger sister visited her on the other side. When her daughter returned after 3 months inside a mechanical heartbeat, she had 3 clots of blood down the front of her body, on her chest, in her navel, just above her vagina. She still could not walk. My grandmother was touched by her father's younger brother. My mother was touched by her mother's sister's husband. My mother's younger sister was also touched by her mother's sister's husband. My mother's other younger sister was touched by her mother's uncle. My mother had always wanted a daughter. She never left me alone with any of her sister's husbands. The protection my mother gave me was the Bible, fear, and chastity. We were all afraid of God, men, and the dark. Okay. Utywala smells of milk. Ngemini yotshisa amathambo, ekuseni ngexesha lebhekile, umakazi passed away. Her sister watched her breath leave her body. Mna ndandisemva komkhusane. Uthi omnye umakazi, yayingathi kuqhushalaza indoda endala. She asked me about the wind, if I had heard the dogs howling outside the door. Abantu abadala bazovanga uye afkile. It's time. I'm tired. Every morning I wake up carrying a baby. She is always crying. Her eyes glaze past me. She can see I'm not a mother. She can see the knot in my back has not yet uncoiled. I am not well. I am not ready to be her mother. She tries to suckle my breast. My milk is slow. She will not wait for me to get well. She will not wait for me to grow into her mother. Athi amagqirha amakhulu azocela umntana. Umakazi uhambe engekayiwisi ibhokhwe. Oko wayesebenzisa amayeza ngetyala. How do I wash a stain that is not on a cloth? Ndifuna ukusebenzisa amayeza wakhe. Umama says abantu must pass their hand under their armpit and give it to the baby when they approach. She says this will allow the baby to see the person for who they really are. I cannot go to amagqirha. I'm not scared. I'm tired. I will not be well until I go. I cannot convince my child to love me when I am unwell. I have not had a drink since I knew she was growing inside me. The smell of vodka will not leave my milk. I will never be sober enough to be her mother. I brew utywala when she is 3 months old. She may leave the house now. I will slaughter a goat for her before her 3rd birthday. Her father's mother has been visiting her since before she was born. She cannot meet her because her son is running away from the ocean. I worry about this child, born of 2 unwell people. I worry that uzakuthwala amatyala ethu. I want to drink. I'm embarrassed by my breath. Umama says I must learn to pray. A mother must know how to pray for her children. Umakazi, akekho. When the girl is older, umakhulu wraps a string of white beads around her head. The girl first sees the beads before she is born, and then again in a poem. The girl is told if she does not remember, she will be sick. When she remembers, the girl is told that if she does not speak, she will be sick. When she speaks, the girl is told that with her tongue she may be water or she may be wind. She is told that no one can escape the fire. I am told my grandmother was a woman of the spirit, that the wind carries her off a cliff, flung her straight into the water where I was born. Wrapped in the skin of a snake, I stayed underwater for 60 days before I met my mother. In a burning hut on the mountain, she could enter only to fetch me and put me down, was allowed only to feed me, then return me to the fire. I am told my lungs are made of water, that a snake coils around my spine, and I carry hives of bees inside my breasts. They say when a girl becomes a woman, she must leave her mother's house, not be afraid of the wind and the cliff. She must learn to trust her breath underwater. Mama and I have never truly touched. A God of someone's God has always kept us apart. Her in her prayers, me in the water. The women wear black and red. They walk the country and spill over the borders. They carry placards. Some say Dubulisende, others plead for their lives. And at 1 p.m., they are a single wave crashing onto the rocks. No cars may pass, no workday may proceed. This is a total shutdown. At the intersection of queer and black and woman, there is a shambok and there is a chain. The fees must fall, the shadow and their fingers cannot find the shambok in the bathrooms, so they beat her on the streets. The shambok is unafraid. She is 100 waves crashing against a rock on another road. In the city of the mountain, a woman inks a machine gun between her shoulder blades. We will take our land back. We will fight. There will be a victory and there will be a loss. There is too much desert between our blood and no apology. The waves are older than this. There are 20,000 waves in 1956, silent waves made of sand and saliva, building homes, raising children, putting food on the table. They are forgotten waves, birthing warriors, threatening to obliterate the rocks. They sit down. They are silent. For too long, we have been both queen and mule, both hungry and providing. We have been sexualized and threatening, expected to cook meals we cannot enjoy, sew clothes we cannot wear, clean houses we cannot live in, teach our children in schools we could never afford. Enough. My mother is a woman who never forgets to pray. God has been her true north since she was 13 years old. I think God is how she remains kind, why she has not turned into the venom this world has tried to make of her. My mother is the many faces of unconditional love. And this is how I have known the love of God. Utshwala belanga lokufa. Ngelanga lam lokufa. Umakazi arrives 3 weeks. Oh, sorry, I'm going to start that again. Ngelanga lam lokufa. Umakazi arrives a week early to see me through the rains. She brews 2 barrels of utywala while managing a relentless cough. My goat does not stop crying. They say your goat will do as you did throughout your journey. Ubaba asked that I be allowed to cry, that I cry all my tears finished so I can heal. There are many lifetimes returning to relive their unhealed wounds. And I understand why the unions say injury to one is injury to all. Umakazi uqala utshukuza emva kwemini. Kudala ndamazi uba unesandla esishushu. Utatomkhulu wakhe uthi makudityaniswe abazukulwana kuzophila isizukulwana. There is a town at the meeting of 2 ley lines built on an ancient burial ground. Someone has put a house on top of another someone's grandmother, a cafe on a different someone's uncle. To learn the bones, we must sleep on them for 3 days, but you cannot rest if you're always sleeping on bones. And to be tired is to be separated from peace. Before sifikelele kwilanga lokufa, funeka silanda abantu abalahlekileyo. To fetch the missing ones is to risk touching their blood with your hands, to return them to the land of their people, to plant a tree at the entrance of a ruin, to build a home where others may also find rest. There is no escaping the smell of igwele. When you enter the room, ngelanga lam lokufa, they wash my tears, they wash the tears of my goat in the river. I weep for the blood on the straw mat and the white sheet that is now stained. When they wash my daughter, she is smiling. I'm told she is swimming. She is not afraid of Ubaba. I am no longer afraid of Ubaba. I'm not waiting for a shoe to drop. In a cave during a prayer in the middle of the night, a pride of men circle me in song. One of them stands directly above me preparing isne. Ubaba says, I will not go home until I heal, and I will not heal without him. Injury to one is injury to all. I remember that before she was born, my daughter was circled by a pride of wild cats licking her face. She was smiling. Isidudu sabantu abadala asiyi emlonyeni, siviwa ngevumba. Umakhulu lost her life to fear. Umakazi's cough is not yet healed, but the rain forces her to rest, to wait for the cooling of his dudu while being cared for. To see Ubaba is to see my father alive again, to hear him apologize, to see my grandmother return to her kindness, to watch the land return to the sky and the birds gather with branches in their mouths. Utywala babantu abadala, aboxhesho. They will not empty the room because you are praying. In preparation for ilanga lam lokufa, I sit under a white cloth next to a woman who long ago died and survived. She is also quiet. We are praying together, next to each other. Healing one is to begin healing us all. You're muted, Cindy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I
Can you
can hear you now.
Yes.
Okay, so please, can we all unmute ourselves together and just give a round of applause? Oh, okay.
People. Oh.
There are so many people.
People.
Yeah.
Hello, people. You
People here. There are people in the chat. Thank you so much. It is such a wonderful honor and experience to hear you read. I feel like I haven't heard you read in a while, although last year we were together at Poetry Africa. But there's is the power is it's so present, and I'm so grateful that you made time to be with us. Um, so, I'm going to open up a Q&A, but, before I do that, thank you for your opening poem. Thank you for making the time. Thank you for sharing so much of your work with us. And just thank you for your presence. We're really grateful at the Red Wheelbarrow. We are so grateful to hear so many voices. We're really happy to have an online platform where we can hear from poets that are not based in Cape Town, and to hear those voices, and to also create an archive of voices that are pushing the literary conversation forward. So, Amago, and I am going to open it up to the floor. Please raise your hand. It should be under the function that says more, and then you can, I think, yeah, there's the raise your hand option. So we'll just open up the floor. I'll ask for a few hands. I'll ask my question a little bit later, but are there any questions from those who are here this evening?
Thank you
Please.
so much for
And if you
having me,
can't figure
Cindy.
out how to. No, thank you. No. Only thank you. Thank you. Like, we have been really excited to have you join us. So it's been a conversation that the Red Wheelbarrow team has had. Oh no, have I gone silent? It's a conversation we've had for a long time about how to get you with us, and so we are so excited to have your presence and your voice with us. So thank you on behalf of the Red Wheelbarrow team. Bali,
And also,
I
can I just
see
say,
a hand. Yes.
can I also just say, so I brought blue to the Red Wheelbarrow so that we can like meet at purple. It's all thought
I
out.
love it. It's all thought out. I love it. I see two hands. I saw Mbali's hand, but then it disappeared. And then I see Jacques is up next. Please take it
Oh,
away.
I thought that I should put it down now that everybody's hand is like hand.
Hi, beautiful.
So I said, let me put it down. Hello, everyone. Hello, beautiful people. Yo, Nkosi. Yo, that was amazing. I am so dumb Struck? Yes, that's the word, dumbstruck. But about Kiduti Fana, and you made such a beautiful comment that I have not thought of in a while, or I've never actually thought of it, but you said, in us proclaiming our names, in us bringing forth our clan names, you know, and you called it poetry. Oh my goodness. I was like, wow. Hey, it actually is that. It's so poetic. And what a beautiful way to also honor my mother, my grandmother, my grandmother's grandmother, you know? I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I've never thought of it that way. And for so long, I've been trying to trace my history, my maternal history, because I resonate with my maternal ancestors as my guides. And I've never thought of the importance of it in a sense of beyond just calling yourself out in pride, but also in poetry. And I thought that was so gorgeous. So now I'm going to learn, not just for the pride of it, but to beautifully, I don't know, let their names flow from my mouth. Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you so much for sharing it so gracefully with us. Refill.
Just before you also leave.
Oh, are you going to hijack me?
And hi to everyone on this platform. I'm so happy that I also invited you onto this so you can get some healing into it. But especially to you, Mama, ndifuna ukuthi as umntana wethongo osese esikolweni, and also ozifindayo, especially kule ndlela, like in the academic space, you know. I just wanted to say, Kuwebana, you are one of the people, actually not one of the people, but the person ondenza bana ndihlale ndikule ndawo ndikuyo and ndingazilibali apho ndisuka khona, and ndihlale ndiziphakamisa izihlwele zami endihamba nazo, because I see through you, and like ukuphilisa izizwe, ukuphilisa izizwe is not just about ukhanda amayeza and just like, but it's also just talking about East African spirituality and being proud of it. And you make me proud to be with my background of Abantu or my family that didn't want and who were resisting for me to actually see myself being on Lendlela. And because it made me feel that I would not be where I'm at now, where if I can see Njengawe doing the work yabantu abadala and also having this balance that you have, I want to applaud you for being that light for me, to know that I'm not redirected, but I'm doing exactly what I need to do. So I look up to you, and I hope it does not put any pressure on you, but I look up to you. I love you so much. And I thank you so much for your knowledges, your new imaginaries, wisdoms, and just the people that you come with. Sithi makwande, ukhanye endleleni zakho, emakhosini.
I don't know if you want to respond or Jacques is up next, but I leave it really with you in your hands.
I receive it all. I receive it all. Namazi, Salamati, like Getamakusha, I receive it and deeply sitting in those comments.
Jacques, I see your hand has been up for quite some time. And I don't know who else would like to raise their hand. Tony, I see you're next after Jacques. Wonderful.
And that was such a moving reading. I don't really have many words, but what struck me is, I'm going to say it as well as I can, that sometimes I feel that you are standing in a tradition and you're honoring and challenging it at the same time. Is that right? And would you like to say something about that, or isn't that how you see it?
Thank you, Jacques. Thank you so much. And also thank you for inviting me and just for this beautiful space. I think that I challenge everything all the time. And to deeply surrender is something that I'm only willing to do once I feel comfortable enough to be wholly myself. And so because of the nature of the person I am a person who needs to be able to feel completely safe in a space. And so I process through writing. That goes for my spirituality, that goes for my society, for the political environment that I live in, for my family, for everything. I must question. So I don't know if it's challenging more than it's giving. I stand deeply in tradition, and I give this deep heritage and tradition an opportunity to root itself in me. And in order to do that, I must ask the questions I must ask so that we can plant the roots that we must plant.
That keeps us alive and keeps you alive. It keeps the tradition alive, yeah. Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very moving.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jacques. That was lovely. Tony, ooh, I haven't seen your face in a long time. You are a sight for sore eyes. I don't know if I'm, yeah, so please take it away.
If vangile can bring me out of hibernation, you know.
Hi, Tony.
Oh, Chomi. Hi, Tikai Gangans and Tawidis from the people of the water of this land. Big pipe for bringing rain to all of us this night. Yeah. I want to, it's kind of a comment and a question. You know, there's this way that our people move between realms that tradition, that like Western colonial traditions call metaphor and imagery and magical realism. That can be sometimes so limiting, even in its like wanting to be expansive. And listening to you and hearing your work and receiving your work and reading your work feels like you create more space for us to breathe, because there's a way in which you stand so fully in our traditions that renders them, that kind of shows how they just are. That when you're speaking about that when you're writing and talking about these practices, there's no way that they can be mistaken for metaphor or magical realism. And that brings to the fore the vastness of the people that we are, that we move and travel and live across realms and dimensions and timelines at the same time. And how that is so often hard to translate in Englishes that are not of our own making. And yet we have to work in these Englishes because for many of us, they are what's given. And so it's a moment of just deep honoring and gratitude to for the way in which you do that. And then just a question around, I mean, any thoughts or comments around the practice of that from a, because you know I'm a poetry nerd, so like from a craft perspective, and the relationship between that deep embodiment of who you are and then how that translates through the craft onto the page.
I appreciate your comments very much, and I appreciate you very much. So, to sit alongside your comment, it's because we really are. We just are. It's the fact is fact, and life is life. And so it is. In writing it, I think, in kind of me finding my own voice, I think my breakthrough, or like when things started opening up in order to be able to understand, is when I started writing moments and emotions, and writing things as they are instead of trying to turn them into metaphors. Because if I'm trying to turn something that is into metaphor in a world that already believes I'm a metaphor, then I'm just going to lose people even more. But then I'm going to get all esoteric, and you're not going to get what I'm saying. A goat is a goat. When you put a goat into your space and your goat mimics your journey, that is exactly what it is. There is no metaphor about that. So if I write that as a metaphor and I try and, make it understandable, then I'm going to lose you and I'm going to lose what I'm trying to say. And too much of us has been lost in translation. And then with regards to translation, I really think that direct translation is beautiful and is underrated. Our languages are so musical, and English can be so barren sometimes. And when we take our languages and we directly translate them, and we allow English to become what we need English to be, and we mold it according. I speak English in this class because English forced this class out of my mouth. And so if I'm to use it, I must use it in a way that honors who I am. And so I love direct translation. I love dismantling English, and dismantling language as much as I can. Yeah, I hope that answers you, Tony. Thank you for the question and the comment.
Thank you, both of you, for that question and the answer. I'm still opening it up to the floor for a few more minutes before we closed. I think there was just so much that reading offered, but I see Georgia. Take it away.
Hi, Vangile, thank you so much for just such an incredible reading. I nearly didn't raise my hand because, like Jacques, I sort of, what can I say? Just I feel like I've bathed in unexpected and miraculous waters somehow tonight with your words, and not sure how to come out with anything to say except that it was just wonderful to hear. I have a couple of questions, and the first one was your poem Small Girl. I just wondered if you could confirm what the title was, if it is Small Girl, or if it was something else. It is Small Girl. Okay. Mm-hmm. It really touched me. Sorry, say again, Vangile.
Small Girl, one word, lowercase.
One word. Great, thank you. And the other thing that really I just was this line that you cannot sleep if you are always resting on bones. And in that one line, I felt like you had picked me up and put me down in a place that was, I mean, my first feeling was I have no permission to be here. That was the first kind of feeling, which is really a really strange thing for me to say now when I hear it. But it was some of the other people who spoke about this incredible ability you have to honor your ancestry and to really transport us to that place. When you read that line, I had three things simultaneously happening, which was, you know, can you not sleep there because of the knowledge of their lives lived that are unacknowledged? Is it that, or is it that they are somehow your own bones? You know, there was this multi-layered thing happening, or is it because of their suffering that is unacknowledged? Or indeed, is it, and I wrote it down because I know I would forget it, or is it that you cannot rest because there is so much to do? You know, and so these three things sort of collided with that line as you said it. And I just wondered if you could say a little bit about how that emerged for you in that poem, in that place. Sorry, a bit of a convoluted question for you.
No. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. It is all those things and anything that you're required to be. However it made you feel, that's exactly what it is.
Sure.
Because, you know, how does it make you feel to sleep on bones? Is it restful?
It's a great answer. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Georgia. Thank you for your comments and for your question.
Thank you so much. Ongazwa, sister, I see you. Take it away.
I see you too. Vangi, thanks for advertising on WhatsApp, because it was that moment of load shedding. And I'm like, okay, what do I do with myself? Be here. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was going to ask the question about small girl, but I also, and I'm not anymore, because small girl is what small girl means to me. And it's always interesting to hear it so many times. But what I feel, and I want to honor you on this one and acknowledge you, you allow, even in your answer, the poetry and the imagery to exist, right? So, and your truth. And I don't know how many times I've heard you answer, you know, because we're in community of poetry, even when you're in Durban. I'm like, aha. And so I wonder, and in your processes of honoring or of allowing the voices to speak, and they speak such beautiful, nuanced truths. And I'm wondering how just you take a breath, it's breathtaking, because it's like, and I don't know what the question is, but I'm wondering, you know, you're not thrown back by the questions. And I've seen you answer questions a lot. You don't try to answer the question. You're right and wrong. Yeah, tishar. And so thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love how that was not a question, but it was a question. And Vangile knows what the question is. By the way, hi, On. How you doing?
Hi.
So beautiful to see so many. But anyway, I'm laughing because what a question. I'm wondering what the question is, and I hope it will be cleared by the answer.
I mean, so what I'm hearing you kind of comment, ask, on is, why am I not thrown back? It's because I'm not afraid of being wrong, and I don't relish in being right. Like, I'm always asking questions myself. So it's neither here nor there, like, and maybe the answer will change tomorrow, and maybe it'll change in a week. It is what it is today and here right now. And also, I was never really good at coloring in between the lines. So here we are. Here we are.
Here we are. Don't you dare come answering us poetically, philosophically, spiritually. Yeah, okay, there are more hands. I don't know who came first. Please forgive me. I think I first saw Derek, then I saw Kylie, then I saw Tabile. So I don't know. But maybe we'll go in that order. Hey, there's a lot of hands tonight. There's a lot of people in the room tonight. You see what you're stirring up? Do you see?
Is it mine that's frozen?
Derek?
Am I frozen?
Hello?
Derek?
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Hi, Derek.
I don't know how to put my picture on, but as I'm 78 years old, you don't want to see my picture anyway.
I would love to.
I am English, but I've lived in this country for 53 years, and I live in the Eastern Cape. I've lived in the Eastern Cape for 30 years. And I just felt I had a great affinity with what you were reading, although our backgrounds are so different. And you were so just wonderful, and I appreciated just your feelings and well, just everything. I'm sorry, I'm lost for words, which is very unusual for me, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciated your reading, and it meant a great deal to me. Thank you.
Mark, thank you so much, Derek. Thank you so much for your comment. I really appreciate that. And I'm also from the Eastern Cape, so great affinity.
I
realize that.
Oh, sorry. Kylie, you're next, but continue.
So of course, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm 78, you see. So,
all right.
And anyway, the point is that I am so pleased that I heard you tonight, and it means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek.
Bye.
Kylie, are you up next?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, my darling.
You know, in English, they say wild horses wouldn't keep you away, can't keep me away. In the 2023, I'll say load shedding won't keep me away. Mama, you know, as everyone here, I'm speechless. My heart is shaking, it's full, it's released. And I won't ever give up the opportunity to declare my love for you, my love for your work, my love for your mission. You're the most giving soul I know. With your words, with your work, with your presence. And I wish your work lives on throughout eternity. You are a well of healing and hope. I have no question, absolutely none, just love and adoration.
I
Thank you
receive
for
all of that and sit in it.
Tabila, you are up next.
Thank you. Thokoza mntu omdala. Molo vangile, molweni. Good evening, everyone. I'm also just popping here to also share my appreciation for you, for your work. Nabantu abadala ohamba nabo, ndithi makwande. There were so many powerful messages that came out of your poetry, the poetry that you shared with us this evening. And I resonate with one of the lines from one of the poems that you read, which says, to be tired is to be separated from peace. I think that is so profound, especially for a lot of us who are studying, who are working, who are mothers, partners, you know, who are fulfilling different roles, you know, and especially with the whole notion of the importance of taking care of oneself, of taking care of one's wellness, of the significance of taking care of one's mental health. So I think it's just, you know, it's such a powerful message. And I love the flow in the choice of poetry that you shared with us. There's a lot about spirituality, abantu abadala, about home, family, motherhood. You talk about butywala, you know, alcohol. You talk about prayer. You talk about blood, you know, in a literal and figurative way. So thank you so much, Magwande. Thokoza.
Yeah, I hear you, and I'm going to sit with those comments, and I really do wish us all more rest, more peace, because this hamster wheel is a lie, and all it does is take from us. So I hope we are able to carve out pockets of rest, all of us.
Okay, we have Langa Balele and then Kirsten.
There was someone who had put a message saying that they can't raise their hand.
Oh,
Mary
okay.
Evans.
All right, Mary, do you want to start? And then we'll end with Kirsten in that order. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I did find, obviously, how to do my raise the hand, but I'm a novice. And I just also astonished by the poetry, by the meaning, by the mixing of Xhosa and English, and just how important that is as a white South African, as a human being in South Africa, to hear Xhosa spoken in that context, and how sad really that a lot of it I do not understand. I was out of the country for 36 years, but I did, when I left home, I knew that I had to learn Xhosa, and I studied it for 2 years at university. And that was, in that time, it was just, it was profound how many conversations I had with people that I would not have had if I had spoken to them in English, English being the language of the oppressor, and that immediately you open your mouth in English, you set up a context. And so to me, it's just so so hopeful, so joyous making to hear this poetry that is also a critique of relationships, of the treatment of the past, of the history, but also of the joy or the hope of the culture being spoken, of you being a voice for the culture that should long ago have been much more understood by everyone. So I'm feeling, yeah, overwhelmed really. And my heart is feeling very joyous and also very sad yeah, just at the knowledge. But I loved what was it Tony Giselle Stewart said about the metaphor, and how your response to say that you don't need that metaphor. You have been so much, a metaphor has been made of you, and you just don't need any more of it, and that your pure voice has just come out through this. And I don't even know, I want to say thank you, because you've given us life. And if you say you cannot thank for somebody who's given life, but I say inkosi kakhulu. Yeah.
Oh, Samako, Mary, I really, really appreciate your comments. And we'll sit with them. Yes, yes, all of it. Yes, yes. I'm just sitting in what you're saying and receiving it. Thank you. And we're supposed to have mixed feelings about moving through this country, this world, this life that we're living in. We're supposed to find our feet, find our bearing, find our place. We're supposed to carve it out by force or by, by feather or by force, or by love, one way or another. All of us deserve to be here, and we must be here because we are. And so I really do appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Siyakhona.
Mm.
Yeah, of course.
I think it was Ulanga Libalele.
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
So much grace. Is that Langa Libalele?
Yes.
Okay, take it away.
Sanibona igama lami uLanga Libalele, umngadi uMadlokovu Sithenjwe nene uNtu senkomo usituli kaSikhaba uzosikhaba uzosiqokela.
Samako Mhlekazi.
Okay, akubongwa, angiqale kanjalo, akubongwa. Siyagqamagusha ngezipho that you have given us through your readings. Okay, so in like the landscape of like the journey that you took us through your poetry, one of the spaces that like I found very intriguing were these liminal spaces that like we tend to find ourselves, whether in like rituals, whether through like rites of passages, and like there are probably so much wisdom that you could have to offer somebody who is like navigating liminal spaces, which can be like a common thing in this life. So like what type of advice would you have for navigating liminal spaces?
I'm going to need you to speak a little bit more about liminal spaces.
So like liminal spaces are these like in-between spaces, whether it's between like uphila nokufa, or whether it's like like an example with the ritual, like umemulo kanje. When umuntu egumemulo, egongile and stuff like that, they're in a liminal space and they're in this like transitional space. And within these transitional spaces, I have found there is so much like fluidity but at the same time, there is a lot of like ivunguvungu, like there is so much, how can I describe it? It's dark, gasho ganjalo, and it gets difficult to navigate. And sometimes it can feel like you're stuck because you're in this space, this transitional space, transiting from one state into another. I hope that.
Mm-hmm. 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 So there's an African proverb that I shared. It was a collective of African proverbs, but this one in particular: when the root is deep, there is no reason to fear the wind. In between, yeah, I think I mean without I'm not sure I'm equipped with giving advice. I will say that how I have found my rooting.
Vangile, are you good to answer this question?
Yes, can you hear me? Cindy, Yandiv?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just thinking that I'm very concerned with what roots me, what grounds me, so that when I'm wherever I am, in between whatever I am in between, I have something that is anchoring me. And that anchor is my purpose.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just asking if
yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. And then also to be present to wherever you are. So if I am, if ndiphansi komnyamsoro okanye ndisemva komkhusane, I need to be focused on being phansi kwenyamsoro okanye emva komkhusane. I cannot be concerned about imbiza ekitchini or be concerned about uZuma uzawuthini okanye uCyril uzawuzicima nini izibane. I must focus on being where I am. And I must trust that where I am, because it is rooted in my purpose, will lead me to where I need to get to. And I think being present and intentional in like as in with that deep rooting allows for things to never I'm okay if like how you see those things, those astronauts in the spaceships, and then they're like floating and they can't really sit down, but you know that they're not going to be ejected out of the spaceship and float into outer space. They're in the spaceship, they're going somewhere. So I'm okay with that. I'm in my spaceship, I'm going somewhere. All I need to trust is that with my spaceship is okay, is intact. And if I'm floating around in it, then I'll hold on where I need to hold on. I'll go where I need to go. I'll navigate how I need to navigate. But I am deeply rooted in what grounds me, which is my purpose. Does that answer?
Ama. Yeah, Siyabonga for sharing your perspective. Thank you so much. Thank you. Shall we load shedding? Hence the
It's
no.
okay. Not to say a load shedder, by the way. We're making it work. So we had one more question.
Hi, Vangi. Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay?
Hi, Kirsten. Yes. Hi, Kirsten.
I only got to join at the end because I had load shedding and I was so upset. But, you know, I find whenever I hear your work or I read your work, no matter if I'm hearing one poem or 10 poems, there's this intense sense of comfort, like I'm getting a hug from my mom. It's like, I don't know, I think that's the best way for me to describe it. But I do have a question. Recently I had this conversation with somebody about the question of, as women, how do we exist around each other? Because, you know, the world has made us move in a way where it makes it difficult for us to exist around each other and with each other. And I'm very grateful for your writing and the way in which you write about being a woman. And I suppose the question I want to ask, since this is the topic that I'm also trying to explore in my writing, is, you know, how another woman not happy here. Sage.
I love it.
Just give me a second, guys. So
I
sorry.
also think that there might be a person.
Cindy, you're muted.
So sorry. Can you guys hear? I had to put it out. So I guess the question I want to ask is, do you feel that writing about a woman and being a woman has helped you in terms of how you exist around other women and how you interact with other women? Do you think it provides a sense of acceptance and deep understanding? I think is the best way for me to phrase it.
Look, thank you, Kristen. Thank you so much for your comments and also your question. I think being human is hard. I think interacting with other human beings is really difficult. I think that leaving your house is difficult. Whether I'm leaving it via Zoom or on my feet. And I'm not really concerned about whether or not it's difficult to interact with other women, because I don't operate from that lens. I don't see life through that. And I feel like there's enough kind of misdirection in that field that, you know, that forces us to preoccupy ourselves with justifying, explaining, proving that women work well together, interact well together, hold each other up. Listen, it's a human phenomenon. It's not a woman phenomenon. And I'm held up by women. So I think my writing preoccupies itself with my experiences and life and navigating life and figuring life out. And because I do that through the body of a Black woman, that's how it comes out. But it's not, I'm really, yeah, I feel like, you know, when Toni Morrison said to us that conversations around race really just kind of distract you. It's the same, even with when we have to explain how we interact with women. We have to prove that, oh, can't you see I have this wonderful circle of women around me? It's a fact, I do. Let's keep it moving. I'm writing because I need to live. I need to find out who I am. I need to figure out how to survive this world. I need to figure out how this world is going to treat my daughter. I need to figure out how this world is going to be sustainable for my nephews, for my son. You know, that's my preoccupation in writing and in life, I suppose. I hope that answers your question.
No, it definitely does, and it definitely widens my mind and my thinking process. So thank you for that, Vangi.
And it's good to see you, by the way.
Mm.
Cindy? So I'm really looking forward to that break that Cindy promised us so that I can go to the bathroom. But I'm also willing to just babble, you know. I could give you guys a tongue twister while we figure things out. Or maybe Lisa can take over so that we see. Okay, tongue twister it is. So my party trick is that there's a Xhosa tongue twister that I learned when I was very little. And I love tongue twisters, by the way, in all different languages. So, uqaqambile uqaqanjela liqhakuva emqolo uqaqambile uya kugqirha uthi gqirha ndiqaqanjela liqhakuva emqolo ugqirha uthi qaqambile ubuye ngomqibelo sogqabhuzela liqhakuva emqolo.
Thank you
So I don't
very
know
much.
how does
I just want I just want to check. Can everybody still hear? Is there any sort of delay?
there is a slight delay with you, but we
Can
can hear
everyone
you
hear
now.
me? Say yes, please.
Yes,
Yes, we
please.
can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. No, 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 no. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you, Cindy.
Cindy, I think your connectivity.
Hi.
No, we can
Can
hear
everyone
you.
hear me?
I think your connection is the one that keeps on going in and out, but we can hear you.
Hello.
I have no
Somebody
hearing.
send Cindy a WhatsApp and let her know that you can hear her.
Can anyone hear my voice?
I'll call
okay.
her.
Tony
We
says
can
we can
hear
Somebody...
you.
I can hear you.
Okay, she got it. She got it. She got it. She got it. She saw
Okay, I'm
Tony's
gonna
message.
hand this over to. Okay, can you hear me now? Testing, 1, 2.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hallelujah. I'm so happy. I'm about to hand this session over to Lisa and Ed. I have one last question. Derek, I see your question, but we are running super over time. Vangi wants to go to the room. Okay, so can you hear me right now?
Yes.
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 Okay, I'm gonna hand it over to my colleagues.
Ask your question, Cindy. I want to answer your question. I want to hear it at least. We can hear you. Somebody please type a message saying, yes, we can hear you, Cindy.
Hello. Okay.
And thank you to that good Samaritan who phoned her.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna log off. Bye. All right, I'm gonna hand over to my colleagues because there's some weird delay, and we're gonna have a 5-minute break, and we'll come back 5 minutes from now. And Lisa and Ed are gonna take over because my sound is apparently nonsense. But Vangile, I love you, and I know that I can't hear you guys. But thank you so much, and I'm gonna end the recording and just say once again, Thank you for a gorgeous evening. Thank you for your work, your poetry, and thank you for sharing so much of yourself with us and for being in conversation with us. We are so grateful.
Marco, thank you so much for having me.
You can hear me? I'm struggling. Okay. Thank you to the Good Samaritan. So my question is, I don't know if you'll hear it. So I wanted to end by asking you this question. Would you talk to us a little bit more about embodying the voice of the quote unquote mad woman? There is a power in that character, that voice, that identity. It makes me think of the laugh of the Medusa, and the mad woman strikes fear and commands attention. Could you tell me how poetry or creative writing has shaped that commanding voice within you and how you have embraced the idea of being the mad woman?
And there's the question. And there's the question. I am the mad woman. I embrace it fully. Ulebu Mashile says, like, she does this beautiful poem where she talks about all the bullshit we have to go through. And then she's like, rather go mad. And I think about that, and I've thought about that. And as someone who has actually been declared mad, like has institutionalized a number of times, there's a freedom that comes with losing your mind, with saying, fuck it, I don't even want to color outside the lines. There are no lines. And if they are, they're your lines. I've got nothing to do with them. There's a freedom that comes with showing up at the family function and being the wild card, where everyone is like, oh, she's here. Just let's watch her a bit. Watch her. What is she going to say? How is she going to respond? Because you're allowed to be honest. You're allowed to be true. And you don't have to think about all the things that you don't have to sit with your legs closed. Or laugh politely. You can throw your head back. You can. There's freedom in it. There's also immense danger in it, but there's deep freedom, and everywhere there's freedom, there is danger. So, yeah. I don't know. I didn't realize that I was embodying it, but well, in my writing, I guess. But I do know that it's how I live my life. So, I guess it comes through. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna pause. Yeah, this has been lovely. I really have appreciated it, the reading as well as the questions and the conversations. Thank you so much.